Hey, welcome back to the Club Junkie Podcast. Hopefully, you're having a great Thursday. Yes, Thursday morning. This one got started a little late, but there's a reason for that. It went live instead of 8 a.m. It went live at 10 a.m. And the reason for it is we're going to talk about a club that embargo hit literally today at 10 a.m. So, excuse me. So we'll get into that. But before we do, just want to let you know this episode is brought to you by Team Titleist. We're excited to share with you guys exclusive opportunities from Titleist. But to be a part of them, you have to join Team Titleist. Team Titleist gives you access to opportunities like prototype testing, special events, limited edition gear from Titleist, and so much more. Sign up and join us on Team Titleist at www.titleist.com/Team Titleist. All one word, Team Titleist. Team Titleist is more than just a name, it's a community of golfers just like us. Titleist has created this community to connect us to product experts, host events, and provide opportunities like prototype testing. White box prototype seating is where the Titleist provides amateurs like us the chance to play with golf balls they're testing to bring to market and actually be part of the R&D process. If you want to be part of these seatings, join Team Titleist. Team Titleist offers special gear drops featuring the TT logo that are only available to members. So again, join Team Titleist today at www.titleist.com/Team Titleist. So yes, this is coming out 2 hours late. And the reason being is we're going to talk about a set of irons that literally just came out today. So I've had these for a little bit, not as long as I'd like, but the boys at Callaway were nice enough to get me these before they hit. So I've been able to go play with them, get them on the course, all that. And yeah, we're going to jump right into it. And we're going to talk about the brand new Callaway Apex Ai150. So this is the brand new 150. So the AI200, AI300 have been out for a little while. Those came out last year. And this is going to replace the Apex Pro. So definitely the smallest of the Apex AI ones, but they're calling it the 150, which is interesting. It'd be interesting to know if they change something like the TCB or the CB or something like that to the AI like 100 or something like that. It kind of goes along with some of the naming that we see in like Titleist irons. But the AI150, and this one is brand new. So from the back, it actually kind of looks a little bit like the MB, kind of has its little muscle here, but this is a multi-piece hollow body design. So much like the Apexes, it's got a steel face mated to a forged steel body. And yeah, they did, I think they did it right this time. So here's the thing. I think last year when we had the Apex Pro, or 2 years ago, Apex Pro came out in 24, it was, in my opinion, just too big. It was big and had too much offset, had a really thick top line. And when you looked in the bag of better players, it's an iron you just never saw. You would see P770s, you would see, ZXi5s, you would see, 245s from Mizuno Pro 245s. You'd see all these irons that were kind of similar design in a way, and they were kind of that in between going to like a straight forged cavity back and playing, something super forgiving or super big or more of a distance iron. So Callaway kind of didn't have it because I felt like Apex Pro was bigger, chunkier, and it played more in like that like heavier distance side. And you just never saw them in bags. And that was something that I always thought Callaway with that last release kind of missed the boat on that iron. I felt like it could have definitely been a little smaller, a little more refined, and a little bit better looking to the eye of the better player. And with this one here, the Apex AI150, I think they definitely put themselves on the right track with these. I think this is what the previous generation Apex Pro should have been, but we're now getting it with the AI150. So this one here, pretty cool. Again, multi-piece construction. The face on the 3 through 7 iron is like a 455 Carpenter steel, super hot. Or not super hot, but hotter, better ball speed, a little bit faster to kind of help the gapping at the top end of the bag. And then when you get through 8, through, they call it a wedge or gap wedge, however you want to put it, is kind of a more traditional 17.4 steel. So that way it's not quite as hot, a little better precision, a little bit better control. You don't need that heat with the lower irons there. Excuse me. So very cool. I got to go out to ECPC a couple weeks ago. I went out to Callaway's headquarters, went on the range. They had these out there. They had the X-Forge, the X-Forge Max. So I got to kind of hit all of those right on the range. And then Callaway kind of rushed me the set of AI150s to go play because after hitting them on the range, I was super impressed. But they wheeled these things out on a cart, or they kind of had them on the cart, but pulled them out and handed them to me. And as soon as I saw them, I was just like, these look really, really good. I was really surprised to see these. I mean, the offset is pretty minimal. I think Callaway's always going to have a little bit of offset in their irons. That's just their design, the way they do it. Their toe is a little bit more rounded. And overall, the club just kind of has softer edges. It's not super angled, super edgy. It's a little more soft and round and flowing. Me personally, I kind of like that. I've always been a fan. I thought the Callaway Apex CB was probably one of the best looking irons of 24 and even in 25, just from a visual standpoint. Now, it was a great feeling iron and it worked really well also, but I felt like that was just a great looking iron to my eye. And this gets similar to that. It's a little longer blade length, just a slightly shallower face height on it. But from address and everything, it looks really, really good. And I think they did a really nice job. When you get up into the 4-iron, 5-iron, there's not too much offset. They list it at like basically 3.18 millimeters for the 4-iron. And when you get down to the pitching wedge, it's at 1.52. And I can say that pretty much the whole set looks really good when you set it down. Even the 4-iron doesn't look bad. They definitely did little things with the sole where they got that pre-worn leading edge that Callaway's been big into lately for turf interaction. So it kind of gets into the turf, keeps the leading edge low, but gets into the turf and doesn't want to dig too much. And again, the look is really classic. Now, it is like kind of a full chrome head, kind of a traditional chrome. On the back, there's a little bit of matte chrome finish under the top of the muscle. But on the face, hosel, all that is true chrome. So it's very classic, very kind of luxurious, very nice looking. I am a little worried about the glare. I was hitting it out of Callaway, and it was super sunny. I never had a problem, and with the rounds I've put on it so far, one of them was very sunny, and I didn't have a problem. Didn't run into an angle where the glare was getting me or anything like that. But that's the only thing I would look at these and say, you know, I wish they did kind of the full satin chrome or, you know, a brush chrome or something like that, just to negate some of the potential for you know, for glare. But overall, I really like the look. I think they did a really nice job. And these things here, they've got, you know, like I said, not even a little bit of tech there. The face is their AI-10X face. So it's got that AI design where it's going to have a sweet spot that's kind of expanded a little bit. And this thing is just built for the slightly better player who's also looking for a little bit of distance. And, you know, like I said, I think these are going to play really well in the realm of T150, P770, you know, Mizuno 245 is a little larger, but I think it's going to play in that area really, really well. And I think it's going to give Callaway a real advantage in that spot where they just didn't have anything or didn't have something that fit really well in that spot. So I got sent 4 through pitching wedge on these. They're shafted up with just True Temper Dynamic Gold mid 115s, a shaft that I've been playing a lot of lately. It's actually a pretty darn solid setup. They launch kind of high, they feel pretty good, and they're accurate. So I've been playing the shaft a little bit in a few different sets, and then they descended with the stock Golf Pride Z grip. Now, I do have to say the Z grip on this is not my favorite. These will probably go. It's become a little bit softer. I was kind of shocked when I pulled these out of the box. I got some photos of them, and when I put my hands on them, I was really shocked at kind of the softness that they have now. I remember because you know, TaylorMade's used this grip, and you know, Callaway has, and all these brands have used a version of this grip with kind of their own logo on it. And this one feels substantially softer material. Like it's much more squishy than the previous version. So I would assume that they did a different material because the durability wasn't you know, insanely great on this grip before. So maybe this is going to be more durable, but it definitely is a little bit softer. So if it's a grip you liked before from Callaway and you're going into this new year with it, go give it a little squeeze at you know, at your local shop or whatever. And see if you like it, because they have changed it up just a little bit. But a grip's not a big deal. You can always get something else on there, but just something that I noticed compared to previous Z grips, that this one here is definitely softened up a touch. But the whole set looks really good, and you know, from 4-iron down to pitching wedge, it's one of those things where you set it down and you just feel confidence with it. You really like it. It looks like a player's club. There's not too much offset. It's got a pretty thin top line. I think part of the cool story is as well with like Apex Pro and some of the other versions, they would basically work from scaling down like an AI200. So when they did like Apex Pro, they were scaling down an Apex into an Apex Pro, and they're kind of thinning out the top line and just, you know, making it more compact. With this one here, their design philosophy actually started with the TCB iron, which is, you know, of course, the cavity back that is played all over tour by so many tour pros. And they basically started there and kind of went up a little bit, made this a little bit bigger. And I think that was a great idea. I think it really definitely changed what they're doing because the aesthetics turned out really, really good. And the view from address on the whole set is really solid. So pretty straight leading edge on it. If you're somebody who likes a lot of kind of roundness there, unfortunately, you're not going to get it. It's a little more straight. But overall, just a really good looking package there. When I pulled them out, like I said, I was at Callaway's headquarters the first time I hit them at their range, their testing center. And the first time I hit them, I was extremely impressed because before I was hitting these, I was hitting some other clubs there that were more kind of distance oriented. And I was hitting the X Forge and stuff. I hit those a little bit later. But I was hitting this one green and had a bunker in front of it. And the green was out there. I think it was like basically 150-ish, 155 to carry the bunker. To get it on like the little green there. And the first shot I hit with a 7-iron was basically like just right of the flag, hit the green, just kind of rolled past the pin, and was a great shot. And I was kind of shocked because the stuff I was hitting definitely was a little bit more geared towards speed. And when I hit this, I figured, oh, I'll just hit it in the bunker, but that'll be my aiming point still. And I was still hitting shots that were carrying into there. It's a few yards shorter than what I was hitting, next to it or before it, but overall it still had a little bit of speed, a little bit of distance to it, which was kind of nice because even if you miss hit a little bit, I could still get it on the green. The mishits wasn't seeing a ton of distance loss on there, and well struck shots. It was basically carrying the distance I wanted to carry with a 7-iron, which was like right about 160. I think it was like 158, 159. It was all pretty much right there. And these things here don't have, they don't have crazy lofts. Pitching wedge is 44, 7-iron is 31, and the 4-iron is 22. So they're a touch strong, but they're not crazy strong by any means, especially this day and age when stuff is, getting their pitching wedges at 42, and even less in terms of pitching wedge lofts. So a little bit stronger. But again, this iron is, if somebody's looking for pure precision, they're probably going to move to X Forged. With this one here, you're going to still get some of that distance out of it. But those were the first shots I hit there. And I was really impressed. I hit a lot of really good shots with it. Anything that you hit, whether you hit it a little on the toe, a little on the heel, a little low on the face, whatever it was, I was able to basically hit that green with all, pretty much all of those shots. And, overall dispersion on that day was really, really good. Just hitting shots into this green, stuff just wasn't moving. I got to hit, they had the whole set there. So I got to hit, 5, 4-iron all the way down to wedge. And yeah, it was just really impressive. How well they worked out there. And then when I left, my buddy over at Callaway, my boy Jeff, was nice enough when he said he was going to send them. He goes, I'm going to get them to you next week. And I was like, that's great, but I'm going to be on vacation, which was last week, the week before 4th of July. And I was like, any way you could send them to where I'm going to be. And he was like, no problem. We'll get them there. So when I showed up, the box was sitting on the porch at the house. And I just grabbed them, took them inside, and I had like 4 rounds of golf on the books, so they definitely made it out, and we played some golf with these things, which was awesome. So yeah, took them out on the course, and again, same thing, really impressive. I felt like on the course early on the in the round with some shots with like 5-iron. I felt like it took me a little bit of the swing wise to warm up to get the ball back into the air as high as it needed to. I hit some really solid shots like 5-iron, and then just came out a little bit lower and kind of like came to the green and kind of ran out to the back. But once I got kind of warmed up, because we play early, we play like 6:45 in the morning. After that, everything else was super easy to hit. The one thing I do have to say with these that I noticed compared to, I brought like 2 other full bags of clubs down there. Was the amount of draw with these was kind of reduced. Everything I hit, and even one of my brothers mentioned it as we were playing, because I kind of said like, yeah, I've got these new irons, whatever, and he kind of said like, yeah, I noticed that your miss with those was a little bit more right than the other irons. The other irons, I'd hit my normal little draw, and when I missed, I would draw to the left side or just miss the green on the left. And with these, it wasn't even, I wasn't like slicing it right. It was just a ball that just started right and just never drew back to the target. It just kind of stayed right and stayed there. And that was my miss with most of the shots with this. But distance-wise, it was actually really good. It was a little bit longer than I kind of expected. I was hitting, the 2 other iron sets I brought were just forged cavity backs. So they didn't have like speed to them or anything like that. And these things were definitely a little bit longer. I remember on hole 12, it's like the easiest par 3 out there. It's like 100. It's between 140 and 160 yards, depending on where they stick the flag and where they put the tee box. Every once in a while they get you, and they toss it all the way back, and it's like 190, 185. But most of the time, at least this week, it was all in that like 140, 150-ish type range. And I think it was the first time we played it. I hit a ball and I just kind of left it out a little bit right. I didn't, it was all me. I didn't quite shut the face. And I was like, well, it's going to be short right of the green, no big deal. And got up there and it was basically pin high. And, I was shocked at how much further it went than I thought it would for hitting a shot that kind of, just kind of squirts out to the right, flares up in the air, has some spin, and just dies. It really didn't do that. It kind of held the distance there and carried the whole way. But well-struck shots performed really well. Ball flight I would consider kind of mid-high. Easy to elevate, easy to get up in the air. I think for a better, more skilled player, you are going to be able to kind of work it right and left and hit those fades and hit those draws, the things you want to do on command. But the top end of the bag, there's definitely a little bit of speed there. On hole 13, I hit a terrible tee shot, and I had 182, I think, into the green. And it's a super short green from front to back. It's very long, but it's very thin. So from right to left, super wide, but it's very shallow. So I would say, maybe 30, maybe depending on the spot. The middle's like 20 yards, probably between front and back. It's super short. It gets a little wider on the right and the left side. And the pin was up there on the right, which was a bunker. And I had like 182, I think, and ended up hitting a 5-iron that actually hit the front and rolled just by, just on the right side of the pin and rolled up. And even, my one brother was like, that was an amazing shot because that's a very hard green to hit. It's a hard green to hit anyway, and then to do it from 182. But the ball came out, nice kind of mid-trajectory of the 5-iron. Wasn't super high, but definitely was high enough, had some spin on it. It was out of the fairway, but it had some spin on it, hit the green. And just released a little bit by the hole. I was sitting on like the very edge of the fringe, right behind the pin, which was unbelievable. I was pretty shocked myself hitting that shot. I figured if I mishit it a little bit, I'd put it in the bunker and then hopefully try to get up and down from there. But actually got it onto the green. But shots on all the par threes were really solid. Distance wise, it was kind of the distances that I'm used to hitting, which I'm starting to lose as I get a little bit older. I was usually like a 7-iron was a 160 carry, and 8-iron 150, and da. And that started to kind of drop a little bit. The 8-iron on my best shots is 150. The 7-iron like on perfect shots is 160. But I'm starting to play a few yards shorter, and these I feel like are getting me a little bit closer, kind of like P770 does. Just got a little bit of heat in there, or the Thai Fusions that get that little bit of extra distance out of it. And I was playing more to the standard yardages. Now it was warm out, it was hot. It was like in the 80s, even not by the time we started. By the time we had done, it was warm, so the ball was really flying. But yardage wise, it was nice to kind of go back to the yardages I was kind of used to, those stock yardages. But on well struck shots, really good. On miss hits, I was really impressed. I thought it carried, the ball carried really well. The distance loss was pretty minimal until you got really kind of far out from center. If you got it really out the toe or down near the heel, you'd see a little bit more distance loss, but it wasn't much at all. It was really consistent. And then also hitting it out of the rough, I never noticed anything that was like crazy hot, crazy flyer, crazy low spin, anything like that. Now, Bella Vista doesn't have a ton of deep rough. Like you can get into some rough on 14, maybe a little bit on 3. But there's really not a ton. Like 1, you do a little bit if you miss the fairway. But I mean, like there's not a ton of holes where you're playing out of deep rough. Because unfortunately, if you're playing out of the deep rough, you're probably over near the trees, and you're probably having to play a low like punch out and run it in front of the green. But you can do these. I did that a few times on like 5, and a couple of 4, and a couple other holes. But never noticed anything out of the few shots I had out of some slightly deeper rough. Anything that was kind of like low spin knuckleball that flew too far. So performance in terms of ball speed consistency on pretty much the whole set is really good. And I didn't even really notice that difference between the 4, 5, 6, 7 that has that faster face and the short irons. Didn't really notice a big difference in terms of the any type of ball speed or any type of gapping between 7 and 8. Everything seemed to flow really well. And between 7 and 8, it's the typical 4 degrees, 31 to 35 degrees, so 4 degrees there. But I never noticed anything there in terms of big difference in how that ball spun or flew or anything like that. They really were consistent throughout the set. But I felt like the long irons were pretty darn forgiving. The 4-iron gets a little tough for me because I just don't hit it super high. So again, a 4-iron, was out of the bag. Oh, it was in the bag. I just didn't use it as much. But the 5-iron was pretty darn solid. It got up to, like I said, that kind of mid-high ball flight. I could still get it to stop on a fairly small section of the green out of the fairway. And then when you get down to like pitching wedge 9-iron, that's where kind of I would notice, especially with pitching wedge, I would notice kind of a little bit of a drop from 9-iron to pitching wedge. But 8-iron would be like my 150, and then 9-iron at 140, I'd start to lose it to like 135. And I've been that way all my life. But it was definitely the 9-iron got it closer to that 8-iron the whole time. Where if it was 140, really depended on the wind, I would probably hit 9. Unless it was like a little bit of wind uphill, something like that, then I would probably pull 8. But I felt a little bit more confident going at that 140 number with a 9-iron in this set than I would with, say, the Mira TC202s or the Epon 307 AF 307s or something like that, which is more of a true kind of forged cavity back, because I knew I had a little bit of speed in this, and I knew I had a little bit of forgiveness with it that I may not have with those other ones. So yeah, it was really nice to kind of go back to those yardages and play that. The short irons had really good control. Never felt again like there was the ball was just flying off the face. It always stopped on the green. Everything came down, and especially with the short irons out of the fairway, easy to control. It was kind of like a hop and stop, maybe a little bit of release, but we're talking maybe a foot or two, nothing too crazy. Out of the rough, you'd get a little bit, but it was pretty controlled. I mean, I felt like recently playing there, hitting some balls out of the rough, it would really run back or release a decent amount. The greens have been kind of firming up as it gets warmer. And with these, I felt like the distance control was definitely still very controlled, and it was pretty limited, even coming out of the rough. And the whole time I was pretty much playing Pro V1Xs, so a higher launching, higher spinning ball. Now the feel and sound on these is pretty good. They're not these. I'll come on and say they're not the softest forged irons out there, or multi-piece forged irons out there. They do have just a touch of firmness to them, and just a touch of click to the sound. But overall, they're pretty pleasant. I would say when you compare them to other hollow body irons, they're going to be right there in terms of that feel and sound. But the feel, yeah, I mean, but the other nice thing is I didn't really notice a difference between the feel between the 7-iron and up and the 8-iron and down. Like they didn't have it wasn't like hitting two different irons with those different faces. They pretty much played exactly the same. But yeah, just a hair firmer than some of the others. And again, I'm playing, that day I was playing, or that week I was playing two, super soft Japanese forged irons. These are just a hair firmer. But I think if you're not comparing it directly to something like that, or like when I was at ECPC, I'm hitting them directly next to X Forged. X Forged is definitely a little bit softer than these are. But overall, they feel and sound really good. And I think if you're just hitting them kind of on their own in a kind of a testing environment, you're going to be happy with the sound to them. Like I said, the other part of it is that getting that touch of click off the center, you don't get a huge, massive increase when you miss it. When you miss it on the toe or a little low heel or something like that, the noise, the volume, all that stuff, it's going to change slightly. You're going to know you hit it, mishit it, but it's not going to get crazy, or at least didn't for me. Like you didn't notice some crazy big click or crack or anything like that. Reduced vibration pretty well. You didn't get anything wild going to the hands. But the overall feel and all that is very good. I'd say it's darn solid. Maybe doesn't lead the grouping, but it's pretty darn solid in terms of the feel. Excuse me. The turf interaction really good. It was, I wouldn't say it hadn't rained much. It rained like one of the days. I can't remember what day it was. It like rained all day. We played like the next day or the day after, and it was still fairly damp out, but turf interaction was good. The sole design got through the turf fast. It wasn't taking huge divots. Like on 10, when you hit your tee shot, it kind of goes down to this little valley, and it's typically really soft there. Even after a few days of warm weather, it still stays pretty soft. It's kind of hidden in the shade under the trees. And even that hitting off there kept that was probably the biggest divot of the week was on that hole, and still wasn't anything crazy deep. Got through the turf fairly quickly. You didn't feel like it was being held up or anything like that, or the turf was really grabbing it because it was too steep going in. That pre-worn leading edge definitely got through, kept that divot shallow, and the rest of the shots where it's a little firmer in some of the places on the turf. Had no problem getting through the turf quickly and kind of just getting in and just gliding through. So turf interaction, really solid on these. I think even if you're a pretty big digger, these should perform pretty darn well. But overall, these things were really solid. I think I think this is going to be a much bigger success for Callaway than the Apex Pro, just because of one, the look is so much better, and two, I don't think it's all about distance with this iron. I think there's definitely a bit of control built into these that the better player is really going to like, and they're going to basically come out of it with something that I feel like they're going to, look more at as a precision tool instead of just being a distance tool. Like I feel like the old Apex Pro was a distance tool. How far can you hit it in a slightly smaller package? Where this is going to be basically what can you do? Can I hit my certain distances? Can I work the ball a little bit? And I think the lower handicap, better player is going to like these a lot. So I'm a big fan of these. I like them a lot. I'm going to take them again. I'm going back down to my parents' place. It's going to be in Bella Vista over the weekend. I'm going to hit these, do a little 3-swing challenge. So we'll have that coming up shortly. But overall, yeah, big fan of these things. I think Callaway did a really nice job with them. I definitely think they're going in my rotation. They're definitely going to be something that's heavily in the rotation. I like that they're a little bit of that cheater. You get a little bit of forgiveness, you get a little stability, but you also get that little bit of distance and that little bit of height. So all those things for my game work out really, really well there. So that is the Apex Ai150. If you go to Callaway Golf, I think it's CallawayGolf.com, they'll have all the info on these new irons. But if you go to GolfWRX.com, we'll have the launch article. But those things there will have all the info on the brand new irons there, and yeah, I've been impressed. So I'm going to play them a little bit more, and who knows? Right now they're kind of in the mix of a couple irons battling for what's going to be the gamer spot. But Apex Ai150, Callaway, give you kudos. You did a great job with this one. I think you learned from your mistakes with the 24 Pro, and here we are with a really, really good iron. So Apex Ai150, really solid. I like it a lot. So that is the iron review. And yeah, now we're going to jump into something that is not club related at all. All right, so what we're going to jump into is a Bluetooth speaker and a golf speaker. I know that's typically not the most exciting thing. There's about 1 billion of these things in the market. And usually there's not a whole lot that's different between most of them. Most of them it's like, hey, we've got a way for it to attach to the cart or your bag, and it pairs to your phone and it plays music. And that's about it. And, people say, oh, this one sounds better or whatever. So this one is a little different in a way. And so it's the Rokform, which I don't know if you've ever heard of, but Rokform, they make a ton of like Apple, like iPhone cases and things like that, a lot of magnetic stuff, a lot of accessories for, they make mounts, accessories, all that, but they've gotten into golf lately. And they've done some stuff where they've got some mounts for phones. You can video your swing. And they've got a couple speakers, and this is kind of the newest one here, which is called the G-Rok Pro from Rokform, and it is their newest Bluetooth speaker. So this thing here, size-wise, is pretty close to like a Bushnell Wingman. It has kind of a lot of similar designs to some of the JBL stuff in a way, but this thing is built pretty heavy-duty. Like it's pretty solid, and it's got some interesting stuff to it. The main thing, I think, is the magnet on it is insane. So they say it's got 49 pounds of magnetic pull force. And this thing here, when you put this thing on a cart, it slams onto the cart. And if you ride over the bumpiest terrain, the roughest terrain, you get that buddy who doesn't slow down for anything out in the fairway or out in the rough or anything. I've had, speakers that attach through magnets fly off or move down or slide or almost fall off, and I caught them, or all of a sudden they're sideways. This thing here running over whatever rough terrain over the past like probably 54 holes or plus has not moved an inch. I've had it where running over some of the stuff and some of the bumpy areas, my rangefinder has slid down and actually been resting on it, and it is still in the exact same spot that it was. So that thing is, as much as I kind of, when I first read the thing and I was like, oh, it's got a really strong battery, like who cares, like whatever. And then you actually use it and you realize how strong it is and how it stays intact. And it literally was holding up my rangefinder from sliding further down the roof support. It is pretty nice, actually. And it's kind of nice to set this thing on there and then not ever think about it again. And even as you're driving, your cart's bouncing or whatever, you never have to think about your speaker because it is just there. Like, it doesn't move. The magnet on here is crazy. I have it down in my shop here, and I've got my table for stamping wedges over here, which is this big, thick metal plate. And I can stick this thing on there, and it just, you can hear it just slam on there. It sticks there, and it's easy to keep there. I've been using it for kind of like listening to some music out there. I brought it out doing some yard work when I first got it. And I've got like a metal, kind of like a metal mesh, black mesh, kind of like table and chairs out on my patio. And this thing here, I can just set it on the table. It's not going anywhere. I mean, it literally anything that's that steel, it's going to stick to, and it just stays right there. And it's actually pretty nice. It's pretty cool. So that's one of the big features. The other one is the battery life. They say it has a 24-hour playtime. I don't know if it'll make it 24 hours, but it will for sure make it 36. I remember I charged it, and then I let it sit for a few days, and I threw it into my bag, went and played golf, and I told my brother, because he was setting up his speaker on his cart, and I turned this thing on, and it said like 88% or 89%, something like that. It was right around, or maybe 90, but whatever. It was like 10% less. And I was like, well, that's kind of weird. It dropped like 10% just over like 3 days, without even being used. And I was like, okay, whatever. So I was like, well, it's not going to last, 36 holes then if it's just sitting and loses, 10%. I played the whole round, and I think by like the 14th hole, I looked over at my brother and I was like, it's at 88%. So it might have just started at like 89 or whatever, and it was like 87. And I was like, it's at 87%. Like, it's only lost 2%. And we played 15 holes. And it was playing the whole time. Like, I just put my phone on a playlist, threw it in the cart, and that was it. And it went through the rest of the round, and I want to say it maybe got down to like 85%. So it lost like maybe 10% playing the whole time on the round. So at first I didn't believe that the battery life was going to be that good. And then I was like, okay, whatever. So I used it for all 4 rounds, and I don't think I ever saw anything below 77% on any of the rounds after playing 18 holes. So 24 hours, I don't know about 24 hours. That would be interesting to kind of run it and see. But it will definitely get you through 36 with no problem. As I said, I was through, 18 holes, and the worst I had, it wasn't even started at 100%, and it was down to 77. So that just means, it would have easily kept going for another 18 with absolutely no problem. So that part of it is actually really cool. You can also use it as a charging bank as well, or battery backup, so you can actually charge your phone off it as well. It's got like, the little flap in the back where you charge it, but it's also got a USB port, so you can charge your, use it as a charging port. And then it's also got like a little auxiliary, stereo in. It's got a little micro SD spot. You can actually load a playlist onto a micro SD card if you're going to play kind of out in the middle of nowhere and your phone's not going to have any service. You can do that, plug it in, and it works just fine. The other cool thing is on the top, it's got a little LCD screen. Well, as I was mentioning, like the battery life, it's got the battery life right there, so you know how the battery life is. And then it's got a few buttons on there. So it's got the power button, and then it has like a play pause button, a forward and back, so you can actually you don't dig your phone out. You can just hit like the button up here, and it'll go to the next song if you want to just skip whatever you're playing. And then, of course, the volume controls there. All super easy to use. And the other nice thing is this thing sticks so hard on there that you can walk up and just press like volume up or volume down or switch the song, and you don't have to worry about the thing sliding or moving around on the cart. You just go and press the button, and it changes the song, and you're done. So it's kind of really nice in that sense. And I know it's that isn't something that you typically think about. It wasn't something I thought about. And then when you actually use it and you're like, oh, like that's actually kind of nice. You can also mount it. Like it's got these kind of, rough clips on, or these tough clips on here, these little holes. It comes with like a carabiner. You can attach it onto your bag and let it hang. These kind of Rokform little parts that cover like the subwoofers there, the speakers there, are like, they seem to be metal. So super durable. This thing seems to be super durable, super tough. It's really well built. Paired up really easily. I literally turned it on, looked at my phone, it was right there, boom, hit it, paired, done. The only thing I would say, I'd give it a little like weird nod is when you start it up, it has this like, I guess I'll just start it up and show you. It's got this like weird like golf ball sound, and I don't know if you necessarily need it, and it's kind of loud. I kind of wish it didn't do that part, but I'm just gonna do it. So I'm starting it up. Yeah, like the golf swoosh sound.
Nice pair.
Nice pair. And that means it's paired to my phone. So it's like that part, and then when you shut it off, the ball goes in the cup. So I don't know. That part to me is a little bit cheesy, but either way, it's kind of loud. Like I don't think you can change the volume on that. Like that's just what it is. But overall, like the features on it, it works really well. It seems to be extremely durable. I haven't, they say it's IPX7 water and dust rated. I played in nice weather, so we didn't have anything like that where I had to worry about the water or anything. And then like the sound is actually really good. It gets really really loud. If you want to be obnoxious to playing partners, it'll get loud enough to be obnoxious. I think I want to say like the volume control, and I was running it. I don't remember what the number was, but I remember I started it up, and then I actually turned it down because I was like, man, this is like really going, and we're playing at 7 in the morning. Like we don't need to be that kind of crazy listening to like AC/DC, that early in the morning, that loud. So I remember turning it down a little bit. But the sound on it, the volume's really good. It gets loud, and then the sound on it is really solid. It's got these kind of like subwoofer type speakers on the outside that offer some decent bass to it, depending on the type of music you're into. And then the standard speakers on it sound pretty darn clear. I would say my like JBL Charge, a little bit bigger, might be like a touch clearer than this, but this is still pretty good. I would put it, sound quality wise, equivalent to like a Bushnell Wingman or Wingman 2. A standard JBL. I think it sounds really, really good. I don't listen to a ton of like, rap music or anything, but I listen to a lot of rock and country and everything else. And everything there sounded really, really good. So, this thing was really solid. Like I said, I wasn't expecting to be that impressed. And I honestly wasn't expecting to even talk about this really in the podcast because I was like, whatever, it's just another Bluetooth speaker. But the more I've used this thing, the more I've been impressed with it. I think it's really well built. It's got some mounting stuff. You can actually like put it even like on a tripod on the bottom. It's got this like mounting thing system. It's got a little hole where you could put like a tripod mount. I mean, they've got a bunch of features that you can use this thing for and a bunch of different stuff. But overall, I think they did a really really nice job with it. I think it's really solid. I was not expecting. You can also the other cool thing is that if you have one and your buddy has one, you can actually pair them together and have like stereo sound in your cart. So if you have one on your side and he has one on his side, you can actually pair them together and they will actually play like stereo sound. And I believe you can pair up like an insane amount of them. I want to say I read somewhere on the site, it's like you can pair up like 100 of them or some crazy thing. I don't want to be 100% on that because I don't remember exactly what that number is. But you can pair them up and they actually will kind of connect and play, kind of like stereo sound and all that. So kind of cool, if you got a couple of them in your cart, why not hook them up, have the same thing going. But yeah, Rokform, the G-Rok Pro Bluetooth speaker. It's like I said, way more impressive than I thought. So I've become a big fan of this thing. I'm really excited. I'll really put it to the test in a few weeks when I go down to go with my guys golf group. We're going out and doing our thing. We play like 18 on Thursday, then we play 36 Friday, 36 Saturday, 18 Sunday. And before, usually, almost everybody, you'd have your speaker and you bring like a USB cable and either plug it into the cart or have like a little battery pack. I'm pretty excited that I maybe I'll just bring this, play 36, and then charge it at night and be ready to go in the morning for the next day. So, and I'm also going to think, because we're going down and playing, I don't know what the cell service is going to be like where we're going. So I might try to put some MP3s on a mini SD card and see how that goes too, because that would be kind of cool that I wouldn't even have to use my phone, just have a playlist on there and start going. So the Rokform G-Rok Pro, it's a pretty cool speaker. It does everything really well. It seems to be built well, and the battery life seems to be really really good. So if you're somebody who plays a lot of golf and you hate having to charge your speaker all the time, all that. It may be looking into. It's not cheap. It's $199, so it's definitely not the cheapest Bluetooth speaker out there. But I do have to say it's pretty darn good. It's a really solid unit. So if you go to Rokform, ROKFORM, that's the company, Rokform.com, and then you go over and they've got Bluetooth speakers. They got a couple different speakers, but they got a bunch of golf stuff, which is kind of cool. They've got, like I said, the stuff that you can record your swing. They've got a different Bluetooth speaker as well. It's a little less expensive. It's not quite has the same stuff on it. And then this G-Rok Pro is brand new. So it's a pretty cool speaker. So you can go check that thing out. I was impressed with it, so I'm gonna keep using it. It's kind of taken over from my Wingman, or Wingman 2. So it's kind of in there. But that is the G-Rok Pro. So I think that's it for today. I think that's all I've got. So I'm going to get into a show on our guys trip. I know some people care, some people don't. The guys trip, we've done the draft. We know where we're going, all this stuff. So a bunch of things are falling into place. I think I'm getting pretty close. I'm narrowing some stuff down on driver for gamer driver. Gamer bag is kind of coming together. I'm pretty confident I'll have something set up before we head down there. But I'll get into that in another show. We'll talk about kind of what I've been tinkering with, what I think's there, what's kind of coming and going. Yeah, it should be a whole lot of fun. I'm excited to get down there with the guys, play some golf. We're going to a really cool place. It's our 10th anniversary, so it's going to be a whole lot of fun. But we'll get into that in another show. And yeah, that's all I've got. So check back, next week. And if you want to follow me on Instagram at Club Junkie Pod, thank you guys all for the questions yesterday. I did it on the main Golf the Breaks account, but if you want to follow me at Club Junkie Pod, and yeah, wherever you're listening to the podcast, like, subscribe, whatever it is. Same thing if you're watching this on YouTube, like, subscribe, anything like that. It definitely helps out. So thank you guys, and we'll talk next week.